So now that you're watching this video, you might be wondering, what exactly is a throwaway? And in my opinion, a throwaway piece of art is one that had no defined direction. You went in with the pure idea of just experimenting and having fun. And honestly, this is one of those things that I not only recommend doing, but doing often. Because when you're not given any defined direction, you also have no limitations, and that provides you with so much more freedom. And with that, you begin to be more expressive, more carefree, and that leads to experimentation and discovery. So you might have a normal workflow that you always kind of recycle for every piece you do, but doing a throwaway piece, you might think, well, let me try this way of blending, or let me try this new brush, or let me try a brand new color palette that I've never tried before. And it might have been brought about by you were inspired recently. You wanted to incorporate a specific color or maybe a color contrast that you've never done before. And this kind of goes back to the idea that you grow the most when you're experimenting and when you're challenging yourself. So a throwaway might sound like, oh, it's just a daily warm up or I'm just sketching, but really it challenges your art process. And this is what will help you kind of grow as an artist. Because I'm sure you've been in that position where you feel you're pumping out a lot of work and you're working really hard, but you're not really progressing as an artist, or your skill level seems to be about the same. And this is an example of working hard, but that doesn't always correlate to working smart. And an example would be to be better at drawing hands. Working hard would be drawing 100 hands without doing any research on what a hand actually looks like. Working smart would be doing 5 to 10 hand studies on really understanding the shapes and the forms that go into making the hand and the process of creating the hand. And that would be an example of working smart because you're obtaining knowledge that will help you create hands in the future without having to go through the struggle of not knowing what hands actually look like. So while you're working, if you're trying to become a better artist, really ask yourself, am I working hard right now or am I working smart? And we've all been there. We've all come across an art hurdle or an art block where we just can't seem to get over it. And usually it's because we're doing the same thing over and over and expecting something to change. And that's crazy. You want to be challenging the process or challenging maybe how you go about doing it. And that's what will fix your piece, not just by rehashing the same techniques that you've used over and over again. It's refreshing to do a throwaway because it's a great pick me up for those hitting an art block. Because if you're struggling with whatever you're doing, do a piece where you don't even care how it looks. Because that's honestly when a lot more of your creative side comes out. Because you're not worried about it looking perfect or meeting up to some standard you have. Or if it's looking like a style that you're particular about making sure you're recognized and defined as. So maybe if you're really well known for doing realism, do a cartoony looking character or something that's more exaggerated or stylized, and you might be surprised by the results. And if you've noticed that you've hit a plateau where all of your art generally looks about the same level of quality, then now is the time to do a throwaway and do a bunch of them. Because honestly, they're a lot of fun. Don't spend more than a half hour to an hour on them, and try to work fast. Because working fast oftentimes pushes us to let go of what's holding us down or what's keeping us at a slower pace, because oftentimes it's meticulous detailing that isn't really necessary. So by doing a throwaway, you're not focusing on the meticulous side of things, you're focusing on laying down the readability of the image, the color palette, the values, and things that do have a very large impact on the piece itself. So now that you've watched this video, my challenge to you is before you start another piece, try doing a throwaway. And like I said, don't keep it longer than a 30-minute to an hour time frame, but really push yourself, try new things, and experiment with new brushes, techniques, and do a subject matter that you're not familiar with. And that is my challenge, and I hope you do it.